Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by...
At Villere's Florist, we deliver the magic of flowers 7 days a week to the North Shore and South Shore in the New Orleans area. Whether it's for birthday parties, baby celebrations, Villere's provides colorful floral displays for all. With a store full of fresh-cut flowers, exotic tropical flowers, orchids, roses, and even fruit baskets, our goal is to make your vision a reality. Villere's Florist, proudly serving Louisiana since 1969.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency, 504-556-0809 or davemietteINSagency.com.
For over 48 years, Southern Tires and Auto Repair has provided services across the New Orleans metro area. Southern Tires offers a range of tires for all vehicles and ATVs. We also have a full suite of auto repair options, including brake repair, rim repair, custom exhaust, steering and suspension, tire siping, and so much more. Southern Tires and Auto Repair, 2550 Hickory Avenue in Metairie.
C&C Drugs is a family-owned pharmacy that's been serving Southeast Louisiana for over 50 years. Whether you need help taking care of an elderly family member, a growing child, or even a pet, C&C provides patient-centered care for your entire family. C&C Drugs, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Locations in Mandeville and Araby.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. Today's a great day for us here at WLAE-TV and also Inside New Orleans Sports. It is our 500th show. We are celebrating that today, and of course, a lot goes into that. We'll talk about that as we go forward on the show today, but thank you so much for watching as always, and man, we got a lot to get into today. Of course, we'll cover the Saints, we'll cover the Pelicans, LSU, Tulane. We'll talk about the possibility of the expansion of the SEC. And breaking it down for us, one of our favorite guests. You ask for him all the time. Mike Detillier joins us from WWL Radio. Mike, how are you?
Doing great. First of all, congratulations.
Well, thank you, sir.
Listen, it takes a lot to do 500 of anything today.
Yes,
it's not like 500 push-ups or sit-ups,
right.
But
which I haven't done in a long time, by the way.
But man, listen, I appreciate you asking me to be on with you on the 500 show. It's a great venue for people in the area to come here and give our comments.
Yes.
And just our thoughts on not only the world, but the sports world.
Sure.
And you don't have to agree with everything. That's not life. But you gave us that great platform. And again, I can't thank you enough. Not only been a great host, you've been a dear friend of mine. And I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Always have. You've always been in my corner. We know a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that you've been there.
Too much stuff going on behind the scenes.
I'm just, look, I say it all the time. This show is not about me, it's about the guests. You guys make the show. And again, out of all the guests out there, folks are always asking for you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you making time. And look, but
we appreciate you. That's the biggest thing about this, that we appreciate giving us that platform and letting us talk. And I can go an hour and not get interrupted, and I can't do that on the radio with who I work with.
Speaking of the radio, there's a big congratulations
Thank
here
you.
as well. Mike Detillier now full-time over at WWL Radio, 4 to 6 weekdays. Mike, tell us about it, because look, I think a lot of people are going to go, wait a minute, Mike's been full-time.
Tim Brando called me this morning. He was going to be on the show today, and he's on vacation. And he was like, Mike, can you give me off today? I was like, yeah, man, come on, I get it. You need some vacation time. He said, I swear to you, I thought you were on full-time to begin with.
Yeah.
But he said, yeah, I get it now and what's happening. And this came about fairly quickly. Again, 4 to 6, Mondays through Thursdays. Occasionally on a Friday,
right.
And so I enjoy it. It's something that I think about the guy that first got me doing it, and Hab Glaudy, and he was just sort of start doing it himself. into it, and I can't thank him enough. And then, afterwards, Larry Matson, Bruce Miller, and then Buddy.
Yeah.
And he was at a different level. And I'll never forget, he calling me, hey, Mike, I just signed on with WWL 4 hours or 3 hours a day. Man, what the hell am I going to talk about in 3 hours? I said, just start telling stories like you normally do. And okay. He said, Ro Brown told me something similar. I said, okay. And so and all those years with Buddy and then with Bobby J. And so now with Bobby and myself and Christian Garrick, we got 2 hours. And we'll see where this takes us, and we all got opinions.
Right.
We don't all agree on everything.
That's the best way.
And Edwin Edwards told me this back in 2019. Okay. We doing Tiger Tour, and he comes to walk-ons in Houma. And so before we do the show, he tell me, Miguel, he say, come see me. Behind the deal. He said, listen, when Coach O got here, he said, I got a comment for the TV people before we start question and answer. I said, okay. So I told Ed he got a comment for, okay, good enough. So he said, I got something to tell everybody. He said, first, he said, the 3 most distinguished voices in the state of Louisiana today. He said, like it or not. He said, myself, he said, Mike, and he said, Bobby Hebert. He said, we don't have to give you a card when we talk. He said, you understand? He said, from our accent and from our talk, where we from. And he said, people, you don't have to express who you are. He said, they know who you are. And I saw Coach O kind of give me a look, and he didn't say anything. And he said, Coach O, I don't mean to leave you out, but he said, I got to tell you this. He says, the old Gov don't have a job right now. He said, I'm looking for a job. And, Ed was like, Gov, anything you want. I'll give you a job. What you need? He said, from now on, I'm going to be the interpreter for every press conference you give for the non-Cajuns of the world. I'm going to explain what you're talking about. And, it broke everybody up. But, I started to think about that. And we laughed about it over the weekend about just some of the stuff that he'd come up with. Now when I go places and you start talking and you start to see, everybody, I know who he is. Sometimes they may not recognize you, right? Because I've done a lot more radio than television, but the face is familiar, but then they hear the voice, end of the story. And I always told him, Gov, you're right about that. You're right about it. And he said, listen, no matter where y'all are, you or Bobby J or myself, we could be in Russia, China, Finland. They know where we from real quickly, and
That's a beautiful thing.
It's great.
No doubt. Mike, you'll continue to work on Sundays for the Saints, with the Saints games?
Yes.
So you'll
continue do the pregame with Bobby and Christian, yes.
Right.
And also with Steve and Steve earlier in the pregame.
Right.
And so, really nothing's really changed other than the fact Monday through Thursday I'll be on full time doing 2 hours. And it's good for me. Got my granddaughters I tell them I'm going to school every day, and they were like, you're not going to school, you're going to work.
Right.
It's great for me. And Buddy always told me, Mike, listen, later on in your life, you're going to have a lot of careers. And boy, was he right.
It's true.
Man, my life sort of twisted and turned a bunch of different ways, but man, I've been lucky. Jobs I've been able to get.
Yep. Amen to that.
Not looking for them. That's the unbelievable part.
Well deserved.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Let's start off with the New Orleans Saints. Boy, I tell you what, I know that a lot of Saints fans out there are chomping at the bit. This time next week, the Saints will start they'll start training camp. But a lot of questions, more questions than we've seen in a long, long time with this team. And of course, it starts with what happened last week with David Onyemata now out for 6 games because of violations of the NFL PED policy, testing positive for a banned substance. Now it's 6 games because of the marijuana suspension that he got back in 2019. Because the Saints' bye week falls on week 6, the suspension lasts 7 weeks. Will be reinstated on week 8 against the Bucs. Huge loss for this team.
No question about it. Now, I'm spinning the record that we talked about before the draft, after the draft, and the shows we've done leading into this. My biggest concern was on defense. The Saints having to do the money reconfiguration.
Yes.
You kept the core in place, okay? So you survived the earthquake, Now you're feeling the aftershocks because of not having the money to keep some people. Your depth has been eroded.
Yes.
You look at along the defensive line. Trey Hendrickson's gone. Sheldon Rankins is gone in free agency. You traded off Malcolm Brown. You had some people, we're going to be fine. We got Shai Tuttle and Malcolm Roach. What? Those guys have been role players on this team. Now you lose Onyemata, defensive tackle, and we talked about it before the draft, after, leading up into today. Defensive tackle was an area you had to upgrade. You had to get somebody else in. It's not just going to be okay.
No.
It's the same thing at cornerback.
Right.
You need cornerbacks plural.
Yes.
Still need them.
Yes.
Linebacker. Tell me someone on this football team who's got any resume at linebacker other than Demario Davis.
There is none. There is none.
None. You can talk about, and I get it, and you're right to say it. They've used early round picks on linebackers. What have they done? Okay, Zach Bond last year was, I think, a good special teams player, played occasionally. He looked out of place, and he's been moved around now.
Right.
The vision, Sean talked about, middle linebacker, moving to the strong side. Now he's on the weak side. So now, in less than 2 years, you've kind of bounced him around. Is Pete Werner a guy that could help you? I think he can.
Okay.
Can he help you as a rookie? My thing is, come on, if you can do this deal with Quan Alexander at a price that's reasonable
Yes.
for you and him, bring him back. The thing with Quan, we all know, 17 games, he had trouble in 16 games staying healthy. Early in his career, he was good. It was like he started 15, 12, 16, and then the injuries started to hit him. He has started with 3 different teams in the NFL. He's talented.
Yes, he is.
Very talented. Again, you understand the fragile nature that he has gone down. He's not a potential guy. He started 66 games in the National Football League. You got plenty on the resume for Quan
He changed
Alexander.
that defense last year.
You saw the enthusiasm. You saw the ability to run the field, drop back in coverage. He can do all that. That's what you want your linebackers to do. Why wouldn't you bring him back if the price was right and he's healthy?
Yes.
Okay, and we've seen the workouts he has shown. He looks to be pretty healthy to me. And I don't need him in August. I need him in September.
Right.
And it's something I'll bring up again. When the schedule came out, people were kind of say, October, man, that tough schedule, into November. And what did I tell you? First 3 games of the year. Look back in October. I do think history repeats itself many times. From 2016 to last year, in a 5-year time span, Saints were 17-1 in the month of October.
Right.
17-1. And you lost in 2016 to Kansas City on the road in a game you could have won.
Right.
A fumble. Mark Ingram fumble.
Yes.
Changed everything in that game. In November, you've been 17 wins, 5 losses. Okay, I get what you're looking at schedule-wise because of teams. You know what I look at? Some of those teams from 2016 to 2020 or 2021, some of the best Saints teams in the regular season we've ever seen.
Sure.
You know what their record is in September? 12 wins, 9 losses.
I can believe it.
Okay?
Slow starting team.
So this is a team that has somewhat stumbled out of the blocks. Okay, you start with Green Bay. Now, you hope that maybe Aaron Rodgers says, I'll teach him a lesson. I won't play in week 1. Man, I hope so.
Yeah.
That you don't have to face him. Week 2, you play Carolina. Last year, McCaffrey, most of the season gone. A lot of young players on defense. Now you got a new quarterback in Sam Darnold. Week 3, New England. That's the scariest part for me.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the schedule, for me knowing that this team has not started out well, 12-9 is a lot different than 17-1.
Yes.
I don't care how you cut it.
Sure.
And so my biggest concern is the start of the season. Now, no Onyemata, most likely no Marshawn Lattimore. What are you going to do at corner? What are you going to do at linebacker? Where's your depth at defensive tackle?
Right.
New quarterback.
Yep.
Okay?
A lot of questions.
A lot more question marks. And really, everybody's concerned about their offense. Okay, and I get it because Drew's not there.
Yes.
My concern is more on defense.
Yeah.
Much more there.
Your depth has been gutted.
It's been erased.
Right.
And I get it. You had to make those tough decisions.
Right.
You had to come up with something to keep most of your core players, and you did. Again, I bring it back to you have survived the football earthquake. Now you got to survive the football aftershocks. And what's available today, Eric? Injuries, age players.
That's right.
You can connect the dots with it. Those players that are available have missed time because of injuries. And for the time, you hear the tick, tick, tick of a clock. And so you're going to have to get rent players. It's a concern. And also, too, I'll throw this out on special teams. Will Lutz is a great kicker when you think about it. 86.6% hitting percentage on field goals. Martin Anderson is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was 79.7. It's unbelievable that Lutz is running ahead of him. Not a little bit, but you talk about 86, almost 87% and 80%. That's a pretty good little run ahead of Martin Anderson's pace to start a career. We saw last year was not Thomas Morstead's highlight moments.
Back injury.
Back injury.
Right.
Also, too, not only as a punter, as a holder.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
And now you're going to have a new punter with either Blake Gillikin or Nolan Cooney from Syracuse. Nolan at Syracuse, it's a great story with him, and he's had experience as a holder, and so has Blake Gillikin. How that works out, because last year people calling in, oh, what's wrong with Will Lutz? Missing kicks, okay. You didn't maybe see the bobble of the snap.
Or the laces
in. Okay? And so, but it's quick to say, Will Lutz, he's lost his touch. Some of that is in the mechanics of everything.
I agree.
How that gets worked out. And hopefully we can see Deontay Harris healthy and returning kicks, because he's a difference maker. I think it was obvious last year when you started to play him more on offense, could he hold up?
That's the question.
And so, again, the question mark's there. And this is still a good football team.
It really is, but there are more question marks than we've seen in a long, long time because of the attrition that we saw in the offseason. And a lot of that has to do with, again, the inability to be able to sign Ramczyk to a long-term deal early, or even a Lattimore before the gun charge.
Or Marcus Williams.
Or Marcus Williams, correct.
Is the other part. So now you're facing a talent depth issue that you didn't have for the last 3 years. You had sort of threw all the chips in. Listen, this is going to be our run. And while I still think they're a very good football team, and I think they are a double-digit winning team, you're going to struggle more this year. You're not going to be that 13-4 team or 14-3 team. It's going to be right at that level where you're going to get the double digits. And that's going to be more rocky roads, because guess what? You've had not one practice, played in one game where injuries come into play. And so and now everybody's looking for stories and things to talk about, and it's easy to say, we good. Okay, you haven't got on the field yet. Weren't the Rams good at running back? And then Cam Akers goes down in a non-contact injury working out on his own. And so, okay, this is one of the top young backs in the game who gets ripped away from you. He didn't even play a game. So, Eric,
you got to be lucky, right, Mike?
You got to be injury lucky.
You got to be, and especially this year with this team. Let's talk about the cornerback position. A lot of talk about Xavier Howard or Stephon Gilmore. Love to see one of those or both those guys come to New Orleans, okay? But at least one. First of all, do you think that happens? If it does, what do you think it's going to cost? And then what does that mean with the future of Marshawn Lattimore if it does happen?
With Howard, it's going to cost you a lot. And he sort of messed that up, and the team messed it up. Okay, he signed a deal which put him at a fairly high level, getting paid. But then the next offseason, they signed Byron Jones from the Cowboys and gave him more money. So he's like, wait a minute. Byron Jones can't hold my jockstrap as a player, and you giving him more money than you gave me? Okay, something's got to be
Plus, no more guaranteed money left on his deal.
Nothing left. Everything was front-loaded. It'll be interesting to see how the Dolphins handle that. They're not a charity group. They're not giving him away. And where you pick is also going to have an influence on what they want back. If I was sending him to a middle-of-the-road team or a team not too good, that first-round pick that could be a top 10 or 12 pick looks good. And the Saints ain't picking in the top 10 or 12. They're picking in the 20s. You're going to have to give me up more at that particular spot. Gilmore's interesting because he's now getting at an age where we saw him play really well in 2019, not as good in 2020. Now, Howard's a different story. Now, if he was playing in New York or Chicago or Los Angeles or Dallas, he'd be a household name. He's that good. But because he was sort of sunk in Miami where they weren't playing for anything up until last year where they had a pretty good football team, especially on defense, you didn't, other than people that covered the game, didn't know a lot about him. It's just going to be a cost factor of if you want to bring him in. I think they would have interest in either one of the two guys. He helps you out immediately. And what's out there today, you got guys that it's mostly age issues now, They're 31, 32 years old. It would be a rent situation just trying to get you by. So I do think this football team needs to go two ways, two cornerbacks.
I agree.
Free agency and a probable trade to get them.
If you bring in a Howard or a Gilmore, especially a Howard, he's going to want a renegotiated deal.
Well, Howard will. There's no question. And I think Gilmore would say.
I would say so. And I would think you would have to do that also for cap purposes to be able to soften the load on the cap next year and the following year until they can get back where, again, a lot of this dead money has gone away. And, again, the NFL TV deal will kick in, and obviously there'll be more money to spend.
You're back in business.
Right, no doubt.
Back in business.
But the question is, can you pay two top cornerbacks on this team?
Can you pay two top corners and a safety? That's going to be the even bigger question mark because I think the Saints really wanted to sign Marcus.
There's no doubt.
And I think they made him a nice offer. But I think Marcus wants someone else to set the market for him, and then he can say, okay, if that team's given such and such amount of money to him, I want that same money. And I wouldn't be surprised you come to an impasse here where his financial wants.
I'm talking about Williams.
I'm talking about Marcus Williams, may be a little bit out of your range.
He's going to play for $13.4 million this year. It was reported that he was offered a contract in the upper echelon of safeties and turned it down.
Now that's an agent saying, Marcus, let someone else set this market and we can get more than that. And now today it's all about upfront guaranteed money. That's what every player agent wants. It's upfront guaranteed cash with this. And so it's an interesting piece now that, you were able to get Ramczyk signed. And you know who's the next guy offensively. And that's Eric McCoy, that you're going to have to pay him some big bucks along the way. That's why I keep saying it every year. And people say, oh, it's because you're involved with the draft. No, the draft brings you in talent at football minimum wage. And if you hit, man, you've got them at least for 3 years playing at that level. You don't have to worry about it.
And if it's a first-round pick, you got him 5 years.
You got him 5.
You got him 5 years, and that extra year means a lot. The question you brought up, McCoy, Armstead also is in a situation where he's an unrestricted free agent next year, $13.65 million in dead money if they don't re-sign him. How do you, again, when I talk about can you afford another top corner, you've already signed Ramczyk to the highest paid deal for right tackle. What do you do with the left tackle position, knowing that that guy can swing over if you need him to?
Eventually, and I was told this by a couple guys who scout the NFL. They were like, Mike, one day Ryan's going to play on the left side. That's going to be his spot. And so it's interesting.
Armstead's only going to be 30 years old.
Only 30 years old. Does have that history of injuries. And that's the negative with it. I'd pay him the money because I think he's an elite left tackle in this.
If you don't, somebody else is.
Somebody else is going to take that chance with him. this year is so important for him.
I agree.
Because if he's healthy for 15, 16, 17 games, you know what? I got to bring him back. I got to bring him back. Sean has put a big emphasis on offensive line play and paying them.
Yeah.
That's the other part.
Right.
Paying those guys what he had to pay them to keep them. And if it was Jari Evans, now we saw early on with Jeff Fain, who came here from Cleveland and become really a top center, and then Tampa offers him the biggest contract ever offered at that time to a center. Then they re-signed Jari, but then Carl Nix, you know, Tampa's after him. The Saints wanted to keep him, made him a great offer, but he got paid a ton of money to go to Tampa, and the staph infections ruined his career. But we saw Ben Grubbs comes in, you know, and they've paid other people a lot of money. I think if Tehran is healthy for the vast majority of this season, I think the pressure is to bring him back.
Yeah, I agree with you. So again, now you're looking at that. You're looking at a corner, okay, because what you're going to do with Lattimore.
Defensive tackle.
Defensive tackle, and then also quarterback. Because one of these guys are going to emerge as your starter, and either, again, they're going to be here long term or you're looking elsewhere. And maybe you're looking in the draft, maybe you're looking to get a veteran, but you're paying a quarterback next year, unless it's somebody that you're paying in the draft. And then, you know, if that's the case, if you're looking at that, maybe you're picking top 10, top 15.
Eric, I think this year and the offseason in 22 is going to be the most critical time frame in the Sean Payton era here in New Orleans because of the amount of question marks. And you will have money, but how do you want to spend it? And you never had an issue at quarterback. You didn't have that. Now, and I still don't think there's an issue at quarterback.
Right. You think it is?
I think it's Winston.
Okay.
Okay. And God bless. And somebody else feels as Taysom Hill. I get you.
But there's a difference there. If it's Taysom, the scheme changes, right?
Yes.
I mean,
and I think the scheme changes even with Jameis.
Because you get more vertical?
Go more vertical. Because you didn't have that element.
Right.
Listen, God bless Drew Brees and what he did for this organization. But the last couple of years, it was obvious he could not threaten the deeper part of the field.
He admitted it.
He has said it.
Right.
But Winston could.
Yes.
The thing with Jameis is, can he cut down on the errors?
Right.
And
well, he has to, because there's no way that
you
Peyton
can't
is gonna
live
put
with
up
30 interceptions.
Peyton is not going to allow that.
My old friend Joe Clark, before he passed away, would always tell me, listen, it's hard to break a quarterback of habits.
Right.
And he said, especially a strong arm quarterback. 'Cause he said, you know what? All your life, you've always felt I can get the ball there. Now he says it's different. Guys like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, they did it a different way.
Right.
It was about timing. It was about accuracy skills.
Placing that ball.
Placing the ball right where the defender misses it. But he said, you know, that strong arm guy who has gotten away with it, and teams have wanted him to do that. Come on. Bruce Arians' system, or risk it, the biscuit, whatever. Okay. He put Winston in that spot. Throw it, kid. You get intercepted, so what? We're going to come back. But Brady was, wait. No, I'm not doing that. And it took him a little while, I think, for Brady to say, hey, coach, we got to rely on the running game a little bit more. Let me rely a little bit more on the short passing game. And Bruce was, okay, if we win, let's do it. But Jameis didn't have that stroke in Tampa. It'll be interesting to see the dynamics change on this football team.
Yes.
With Winston.
I agree.
At the starting quarterback position. And the utilization of Taysom Hill, he's unique. Okay, we've seen this now for a few years. And it's a copycat league. Everybody, I'm going to get one like Taysom Hill. Tell me who's closest got it. There is none in this league today that can run the ball.
Physical like he does.
And he's fast, but he's powerful. He can play on special teams, can play in the slot. I think there's some other things there that you could work with him on. I think his role would be expanded if Winston becomes the starter here, which I think will happen. But I think it has become pretty obvious. And I know others have different opinions, but I think we both feel the same.
Yeah, we do.
It's Jameis Winston.
There's no doubt. Because the main thing is, and look, I know that Taysom's been here longer, but it's, again, a total change in the scheme. Where again, there's going to be more of an RPO or more of a running scheme. Where again, with Jameis, yeah, you got to tweak it some, but you're still, you're throwing the ball downfield.
But if I have to prepare for both of you, I'm taking a lot of time away from you as a defensive coordinator.
I can see that though. I can see both of those guys playing.
I really think that's what Sean will try to do. Now, how quickly will that come together? Because again, I go back to the start of the season. Those first couple, 3 games without you having most likely, well, you won't have Onyemata, and you most likely won't have Lattimore. Now, you've got some defensive worries too. So guess what? Hey, guys, we got to score. We got to put up points. Offense has got to carry a little bit more to load early on. And hopefully by October, now you've kind of hit a little bit of your stride defensively. Offensively, things should start to mesh better. Those first 3 games to me are so critical. And again, goes back to history. 17-1 in October last 5 years tells you that this team is rolling when they get out of that month that's got the 9 in it.
Yep, no doubt. You're watching Inside New Orleans Sports. Our guest today is Mike Detillier of WWL Radio. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Quick word from our underwriters. We'll be right back.
Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration has been family-owned and operated since 1989. Burkhart has energy-efficient solutions and offers brands such as Mitsubishi ductless AC units and Amana, the only manufacturer with a lifetime unit replacement warranty. Burkhart's offers maintenance bundle packages that include servicing your AC, generator, and tankless water heater. For more information on the services Burkhart's provides, visit acpromise.com. Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration, providing comfort for life.
Experiencing rough weather with a bad roof can be a nightmare. It doesn't have to be.
Suburban Roofing, because when it comes to roofing, there is a difference.
Located at 3701 Iberville Street in Mid-City is Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Open 7 days a week, Katie's offers daily specials for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Serving New Orleans cuisine such as fried shrimp platters, grilled redfish, and a fully stocked bar. And don't forget about our expanded event seating and local entertainment. Featured on the Best of Food Network's diners, drive-ins, and dives, Katie's Restaurant and Bar.
The Big 500. Congratulations to Eric, William Hill, the entire WLAE production staff on a fantastic show and a memorable accomplishment. Here's to 500 more and then some.
Hello, Eric Asher. I wanted to say congratulations on 500 episodes. That's amazing. You're a hardworking guy. You do a great job. I want you to go do another 500 because everybody will certainly enjoy that.
Hey, Eric Asher, Chris Gordy here. Congrats on 500 episodes. You know, you have surpassed TV shows like Dallas, MASH, Happy Days. None of those shows made it 500 episodes, so congrats, man. Inside New Orleans Sports, better than Happy Days.
500 episodes, amazing. What a story. Congratulations, Eric. Keep up the fantastic work. It's been a pleasure being on your show. I look forward to being on many times in the future and getting as much great information as you always provide. Consummate Pro, thank you so much for what you do and what you will continue to do.
500 shows, that's an incredible number, but the fact that you actually counted them all up is the most impressive thing. And they were always entertaining. Congratulations, Eric.
Hey, Eric, congratulations. 500th episode of Inside New Orleans Sports. Man, I'm thrilled for you. It's been a great avenue for people like me to come on, give our opinions of the local and national sports beat, and also tell stories sort of behind the scenes of what's happening. Couldn't happen to a better guy. You've not only been a great colleague, but you've been a great friend in life. My friend, I salute you. Hopefully we're around for another 500 episodes.
Hey, Eric,
Congratulations on your 500th program. But I've got some bad news for you. It's actually only your 496th. You see, you had me on 4 of your programs, and I've been banned by the FCC, and those programs don't count. 496. All right, congratulations on your 500th program. I know you couldn't have done it without Will, the Thrill, on the back end producing. Congratulations, you guys. 500 programs, Eric. What an accomplishment.
Hey, Eric, it's Gus, man. I want to say congratulations on your 50th episode of Sports from Inside here in New Orleans. Is that the name of the show? Okay. Oh, thank you. I want to thank you, Eric, for hosting 500 episodes. Wow. Congratulations. 500 episodes. That's pretty incredible. Really? It's been on that many times? Okay. The 500th episode of Inside New Sports New Orleans, or it's the award-winning Inside Sports. Is that what? The award-winning Inside Sports of the whatever it is. Congratulations, man, on 500 episodes, man. In all seriousness, joking aside, congrats, dude. That's awesome. And thank you for being you, man. Without you, Sports Hangover wouldn't be working on its 12th year. Thank you for asking me to guest host, and the rest is history. It's because you asked me to guest host. Thank you and congratulations. How about to 500 more of sports here inside New Orleans? Great job, man.
Big E, my brother from another mother. Congratulations on your 500th episode of Inside New Orleans Sports. 500. What an amazing achievement. And it couldn't have happened to a nicer, more professional, harder working guy. I'm very proud of you, and I'm so happy for you. And I'm humbled to maybe be just a little tiny part of this journey with you. So congratulations, my man. You do it the right way with fairness, honor, dignity, truth, and you do your homework. So I got one more thing to tell you. From the dog catcher to the governor, they all gotta go. Love you, my brother. Congratulations. Here's to the next 500.
That was amazing.
That's awesome,
that was
brother.
Amazing.
That's
I got
awesome.
tears in my eyes. Thanks so much to everybody that contributed. We'll do a little bit more of that at the end of the show. Will, that was a heck of a surprise. Thank you. Let's shift to LSU. Let's get back to what we're back to football. What's the expectations for this team this year?
Double-digit wins. Double-digit. You got to win game one. That's a big game for them on the road, right. UCLA, against a team that's going to challenge you vertically, where you had a lot of issues last year. This is as talented a defensive front as I've seen at LSU in the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Talent, depth, defensive line.
Yes.
And with some young kids chomping at the bit. The young man that played his high school football right down the road from me, Mason Smith. Mm-hmm. Man, you hear Coach O talk about him. Right. And
number 0.
And he was telling me, boy, T-boy, you was right about him. Mm-hmm. And he could play. Great pass rusher, I think, initially from the inside. Mm-hmm. I think that's where he'll make an impact. Savion from St. James also. Terrific edge pass rusher. Young man Bryce Langford from Florida. Ed's talked about that also. I think you got a lot of talent up front. Secondary, if they can stay healthy, you're really good there. Yeah. Kicking game, I think, is there. Biggest question mark for me is offensive line play. Things will work out at quarterback. And, you know, if it's Max or if it's Miles, whatever, both are really good players.
Are both going to stay depending on what happens with one getting the job? That's the biggest question mark for Tiger fans right now.
I think so. Because you understand if you max,
right,
they're going to hand you the baton next year. You're going to be the guy.
Right.
You're going to be the guy. With Miles is maybe a little bit more of the question mark if he doesn't win it. And I've told you this.
And he loves LSU. There's no doubt
no
about
question about it. He loves LSU. Because he'd have left by now if he didn't.
There's no doubt.
He'd have been going. I've always felt Miles had a little bit more experience and a little bit of an edge over Max. Though Max is right up his backside. He's right there. So, to me, you got to look at it this way, and I've expressed this, Dan. Pick the guy you think can win you the most games.
That's what you got to do.
And that's it. And whatever happens afterwards happens.
It's a different landscape in college athletics now, with the ability to be able to transfer
and not
without
have
penalty.
to sit out.
Right.
That's the other part. And so, you're making this decision late August. Where is that other guy going to go in late August?
Right.
And so it is what it is. But you got two guys that I think can really play at a high level. You got to find a stud back. You got to find that guy.
Is there that guy on that roster?
Well, fixing to find out. We fixing to find out because everybody, where I live at is they wanted it to be Emory. They wanted it to be John.
Everybody thought it would be.
And he had some fumbling issues early, and he had some difficulties. Even last year, we saw him catching the ball coming out, which was a surprise to me because he was such a good receiver. What I saw at Destrehan, man, he was a really good receiver. And then Tyron Davis-Price, big thumper.
Two good freshmen coming in too, right?
And a young man in Corey Kiner that says, hey, you know what? I don't care what these guys have done. I think I got it. And already Ed has compared him to Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So there'd be quite a competition there. And I know he wants to give everybody a certain amount of carries.
Yes.
You got to have one dude be the guy.
Got to.
And so let's see what breaks out of camp. And it may not be until during the season before that guy becomes the guy. Receivers, Butte, I don't know of another freshman that came in here and had that type impact for LSU. More so even than Jamar when he was, and he started as a freshman. But Keyshawn, next level. I think there'll be a couple of receivers, freshmen, that will step up to the plate. That look at that class, and you say, wow, they got some talent there. And I'm interested in Besh, too, as that flex tight end. Because, man, he plays with a lot of confidence, a former receiver that can catch the ball so well. And Ed told us last week, listen, I don't care if I got to go 5 wide. I'm going to do it. If that's our best way to score, we're going to go 5 wide. And I'm going to tell my quarterback, get the ball out quick. Get the ball out fast.
Well, that's the question I want to go to next is, how good is this offensive line?
Listen, they were soft as toilet paper last year, and 1 ply, 2 ply, how many plies you want to look at it, they were soft. They got pushed around. You couldn't have a running game. They got that quarterback bouncing around all over the place.
Rosenthal's gone now.
And now Derry, he had some issues. And I was surprised he came back. And you and I talked about it. I thought he was a guy that he's going to the NFL.
Yes.
He's going to the NFL. He needed another year, and I'm glad it worked out for him that he's going to Kentucky. But I think Cameron Wire's a good athlete, and he's finally put some meat on the bone that he can play that left tackle position, and he could play either left or right. And, again, it's about not your starters, it's about depth. What happens if Cam goes down? What do you do at left tackle? Okay, you got Ingram and you got Dumerville. Them guys ain't saw a sniff of action. Do you move Anthony Bradford, who has been the one guy Coach O has talked about? I think he's the most physically gifted lineman I have, but when that second number is a 6 or a 7, and he's the first is a 3, you got to get him down. He got his weight down. We'll see what happens with Bradford is the big question mark. And you're returning 4 to 5 starters, but those 4 weren't real great. I mean, come on, by any stretch of the imagination, they were a very poor offensive line last year. And I'm being sort of gracious to them by saying poor. That was the big difference offensively. People, Joe Burrow made them look good. Man, what? That offensive line in 2019, they gave Joe time to throw, and they had some holes that Clyde could run through. So you didn't see any of that in 2020, nothing of that. They played really soft. I'm interested with the new coach who's all about physicality, getting after it, and being tough. And he brings that mentality from Coach Pittman, who had it when he had those offensive lines at Oklahoma. No, they were real physical. He went to Georgia. You thought about in the trenches, they were a tough, physical offensive line. You watched Arkansas last year. They weren't a great team. Well, you better come with the lunch pack because they were going to beat up on you. And they gave Felipe Franks, they gave him a lot of time to throw the football. So That's to me the big question mark. I think the coaches will blend. I think the communication is better. Again, I said this in February of 2020. I'll repeat it today. How you handle success.
Yeah.
And they did not handle it well.
It is the truth.
Now, you got your teeth kicked in, okay? You were embarrassed. You just weren't beat. You were embarrassed. You were able to gain some measure of respect back by winning those final 2 games.
Right.
Go beat UCLA on the West Coast. You're a better team than them. And then look at your schedule where you could roll.
Right.
You got a first-year coach at Auburn. And I want to see Dan Mullen now. You don't have Trask at quarterback. You don't have Tony at receiver. You don't have Pitts at tight end. He loses 3 of his 4 guys in the secondary. Those guys look lost last year. I don't know what happened with Grantham defensively. They looked as confused a defense for Florida as I've ever seen, but they were outscoring you because they had that firepower. But they were giving up all these points each and every week.
Yes.
Eric, I think you got a shot here that if you can get some confidence in week 1 and roll this through, that you potentially could roll this to Alabama. And then that's where Alabama, A&M, and certainly Ole Miss is a team to watch because they can match you point for point. Can they stop you is the big question mark. But they have a veteran quarterback, a really good running back, some talent at wide receiver. Certainly nothing like Elijah Moore, but you didn't face Elijah last year and they went up and down the field on you. And 3 starters and a key reserve back along the offensive line. They could give you some trouble. And Lane knows Ed and Ed knows Lane.
Yes.
So it becomes that sort of thing. To me, the critical game, certainly UCLA early. But then afterwards, later on, when you're speaking about, okay, Alabama is Alabama. A&M, be interesting to see how they are on offense without Mond and losing key pieces along that offensive line.
Yes.
4 guys, adios to the NFL. Defensively, though, they're really good, really good.
Impact of the new coordinators.
Jake, I think, is almost an extension of Joe Burrow and Joe Brady. You hear it, you know, and we had Brad Johnson on. And he was saying that, you know, talking about how he worked with Max, but also he's got the best tight end in the country is his son, Jake.
Yes.
And he made it plain and clear. Had Jake not been there, he would have not gone to LSU.
Okay.
He said he was looking somewhere else. And he said, you know, Coach O brought in Jake, and he loved the offense and was like, man, he gets an opportunity to play with Max. It may just be 1 year, you know, but still to have that combination there. And so I think he'll do a great job offensively. It is a lot of the same stuff that you saw with Joe Brady, different people, but a lot of the same scheme. Durante and I, we go back a long time when he was at Nicholls State. He was a secondary coach, safety coach back then. And he's had a lot of experience in the secondary. Andre Carter now coaching the defensive line. Here's a guy that played a long time in the NFL. And, you know, with Blake at the linebacker coach, he's had a lot of experience as a coordinator, also as a linebackers coach. I think they'll be much better on defense.
Right.
But I think the key is the amount of talent that they have accumulated and got to come back for another season is going to really pay dividends, especially late in games. Ed's always talked about 8-man rotation, and last time we spoke, he was like, you know what? It may be a 10-man rotation. I got that much talent that it may be a 10-man one. That
bodes well.
That's a big plus. And you look at cornerback, healthy. Is there a better defensive player in college football than Stingley?
No.
I don't know where he's at.
And his sidekick ain't bad either.
And Elias Ricks is really good.
Right.
You got Cordell Flott, who will play in the slot. But I thought the most improved player was McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Come in the spring game. He was glued to every receiver, every one of them. That is a big thing. And I'm interested to watch the 2 freshman safeties, and Derek Davis and the young man from out in Southwest Louisiana who's been terrific as an athlete. And he sort of played across the board. I'll be interested, does he play as the dime safety? Will he be that guy? There are a lot of talent on this football team. There are a lot of talent, and the expectations are, man, come on. There's no excuses this year.
Right.
10-2,
especially after what happened last year.
Yeah, 10-2 would seem to make a lot of sense to me. It really would. But I think there's more pressure this year in the East on Georgia. Because now, all of a sudden and every year, it's supposed to be our year. Now we got a veteran quarterback, all these guys coming back. Look what Alabama lost. Shouldn't we be able to take care of them?
Yes.
You may find out, you know, if you catch Alabama, you better catch them early. Because by the time that 6th, 7th game, Nick's going to have it rolling.
Yeah. What about Tulane? What are your expectations for this team?
Man, I got to see Michael Pratt and at the Manning camp. He was one of the more impressive guys there throwing the football. I don't think offensively that'll be the issue. Is how do you replace Patrick Johnson, Cam Sample? How do you replace those two edge guys who were really good? It's going to be about their defense. I didn't think their secondary played well last year. Normally that's the strength of the team, and I didn't think they played particularly well. So you got some experience coming back now. Can you slow people down? Because Pratt's going to put up a lot of points. And again, a coaching change of offensive coordinator. Now with Long coming in and Hall taking the head coaching job at Southern Miss. But man, Michael Pratt, I mean, I was standing next to a guy who was a scout. He just so happened to be in Thibodeau that particular day. And man, we watching Pratt throw the ball, and he was like, whoa. To think that guy was just a freshman a year ago, and what type of impact. And Mike told me this in the interview I did with him. He's like, you know what this year's all about? Finishing games. Those brutal losses.
That's what held them back.
Tulsa, you know, and you saw it, and he was like, we never left go of the rope.
Yes.
But it was just so difficult to deal with. And, you know, you're the leader, so you can't show that, man, it affected me too.
Yes.
I thought Pratt handled it well. He is now the face of the franchise for Tulane.
New defensive coordinator as well.
Yep.
Defensively, they lost their two big guns up front. That's obviously that's NFL.
But the big man didn't decide to leave.
Came back, right.
And that, to me,
was huge.
Because when I heard that he was going into the transfer portal, my thing is he's going to end up at an SEC school.
Yes.
You know,
I thought so.
But he decides to come back, so you have him in the middle. A good linebacking core. I think an improved secondary. That game one's difficult. You know, you play in Oklahoma, and Mr. Rattler is quite a talent. And he could end up actually being the first overall pick in the 2022 draft. He's that good.
Right. Speaking of Oklahoma and Texas, talking about getting into the SEC, what are your thoughts there?
I think they're in. And you are watching now in real time.
Yes.
The deterioration of the NCAA telling teams football-wise what they're going to do. In essence, I thought they broke ranks when they said, we're tired of your 4-team deal, we're going to 12. We're going to do it our way. All these young presidents that are taking over schools, athletic directors, you know what my job is? Raise money.
Yeah.
NCAA, man, you like a bookie. You're getting your cut no matter what, win or lose. No, we in control now. And this is Oklahoma and Texas saying, you know what? We've annexed from the NCAA. We're not going to take it. We're going to join the SEC. We're going to have this super conference. The Big 12 can do what they want to do. And
it's going to force other conferences to do the same, right?
And it's going to be these major conferences. Here's my deal. I understand A&M publicly having to say, we're against it. Privately, man, how much money? Dead presidents on paper. That's what I want to see. We lost all kind of money last year in the pandemic. No. Our thing is to get money. Who can bring us the most money? Oklahoma, Texas can bring us money and exposure. Now, you've already gotten a lot of it. Now, you are nipping away. You got another bite of the apple in Texas, Norman, Oklahoma. And, man, we have hit that jackpot if it's the SEC. And you could almost tell in Greg Sankey's voice and how he didn't answer yesterday.
Right.
He was like, man, I'm not going to show you my emotions. I'm going back doing crack the bottle of champagne.
Cat ate the canary.
We got it.
Yeah.
And now, but Eric, I think the big picture here, in the small term, this can't happen until 2025. This is like an 8.8 on the Richter scale.
Yeah.
It would be over a 9 if they could come in next year.
Right.
But they can't to 2025.
Because of TV deals.
TV deal and that money going to the Big 12 conference.
No doubt. Mike, thanks so much for
Thank you,
joining us.
Eric, and congratulations again, buddy.
Congratulations to you as well.
Thank you, buddy.
As we conclude our 500th episode of Inside New Orleans Sports, there's just so many people to be able to thank here. First of all, I'd like to thank WLAE-TV, Ron Yeager, Jim Dotson. They took a chance on this concept back in 2013. I'll be forever grateful for the opportunity. Also, thanks to my director, William Hill. William's behind the scenes all the time, and there's a picture of Will right there. When Ron and Jim paired Will and I together, it's been a labor of love for both of us. Will is the best in the business. Everything you see is, again, Will and I working in concert together. And to all of those who have been with us since 2013, there have been so many people that work behind the scenes with this show to make it a successful show. And really a big thank you to each and every one of you. I just don't have the time to be able to name every one of them, but you know who you are. Also to the reporters, the journalists, the analysts who are guests of this show. There is no show without you. And I thank you so much for your time. Each and every one of you have given us your time and your knowledge, and it's just so appreciated. To our underwriters who, again, make this show possible, both past and present. These businesses are local businesses that, again, have chosen to support this particular program. If you enjoy this show, please support the underwriters that support our program. And finally, thank you to this fantastic audience. I am gratified that you take the time out every single week to be able to watch this show, Inside New Orleans Sports. It is so appreciated. And again, we love bringing it to you each and every week. 500 shows in the book. How about 500 more? We're looking forward to that. I'm telling you right now, we appreciate everything. Thank you so much for watching this edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. Don't forget Mike 4 to 6 on WWL Radio. And of course, you catch me this afternoon and every weekday afternoon, 4 to 6 on 106.1 FM. A replay of this show all weekend long. And thanks again for joining us each and every week here on Inside New Orleans Sports. Appreciate Will and everybody that's been involved. Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you, brother.
We'll see you next week for the 501st edition of Inside New Orleans Sports.